being an incredibly interesting map for the way that the attackers can try and breach these defensive holds. Now, it had the distinction of being the most defender-sided map in the map pool for such a long period of time. I think that all the rest that have caught up to it still haven't been given the same spotlight that you know, Clubhouse gets. So if you can manage to pull 2 or 3 rounds on attack away from the defenders and early on, I think that bodes well for your success throughout the rest of the map, whether you're starting on defense or starting on attack.
Well, if you get them early on, then it's going to be even more valuable. But honestly, a round on attack is a round, period, and every single one that you can pull away from the defensive team, so valuable. We'll see the bans come out. Ying, Monty, Valkyrie, and Maestro. Nothing at all to surprise any of us. Pretty standard stuff here. Monty is one of the more interesting ones, of course, but pretty common as well. It's going to be a very powerful operator that can push through pretty much anything that the defense has to offer. Just eliminate it. Easy peasy. Ying also being taken out instead of the Glaz, as is often your 2 options. You can either get rid of somebody who sees through smokes or somebody who can see through flashes. It's up to you.
There's that Maestro ban as well. I find that the Redeemer, once known as being such a strong Echo player, has been eclipsed almost by his Maestro play.
I mean,
how much of that is Redeemer being more comfortable on that operator? How much of it is Redeemer being less comfortable on Echo and more easily countered? And how much of it is just Maestro being an absolute monster when it comes to defense? With that Alda and the Evil Eyes being able to give you different insight to where the attackers are coming from than a Yokai drone might.
I honestly think that Echo overall, okay, Maestro and Echo, flat out, pretty much the same role. They do very similar things. Echo is a little bit more on the team support-oriented side, where he allows other people to get kills using his ability, and he has a lot more information gathering potential because his drones are invisible. On Maestro's side, I feel like it's more the individual fragging power, and a big part of that is, of course, yeah, because his does direct damage, but forget the Evil Eyes for a second. It's mostly the Alda, as you said. That is such a huge force for a Maestro, and it's why we see him banned very often. Redeemer is a really interesting player, and I'm glad you referenced him because he's had some on and off days. When he's on, when he's present, he's so very powerful though, and put him on Echo, put him on Maestro, either or, and he's going to perform. We saw even in the group stages some clutches from Redeemer managing to keep his team in the running. So it's always nice to see that from him, especially considering he's such a hardcore support player. Inches away from a kill here is Jonas, but he's going to miss the opportunity. Flashes come in, and he might just pay for his aggression. But no, it's going to be support from the alibi of Kanto Raketti, possibly also blind on these blue stairs. It's a tussle here, though, and Pengu and Kanto are going to come out on top. Down go both of your 3 speeds. Well, 2 of the 3 at least. Space Station have lost a lot of manpower very early on, and it's going to get even worse as Fabian eliminates Redeemer, leaving just Bosco and Thinking Nate. The round seems all but over, and Parker, we're a minute in.
It's a very bold move to be able to just jump 2 people in through a tiny window and get absolutely gunned down the moment that you try to hit that vault key.
Yeah.
I think it was the right call given the intel that they had, but I think the bigger issue was that the intel was not the best across the board. So
I mean, another thing, we've seen G2 do what they just did there multiple times in the past, and that is, oh, my roamer's being pressured, he's close to the site, take one of the anchors and support that roamer. Just double down. G2 are really well known for doing that as of late, and it's dangerous as SSG to see an opportunity, a potential pick, and double down and commit to that push and lose even more manpower. Why? Because it's an awkward fight to SSG's disadvantage that they honestly just shouldn't have taken. Other ways to clear that area.
Space Station's got a minute to work with, but they have almost no utility. Bosco is able to find what gadgets he can, but other than that, it's a Jackal with 2 smokes to really lead the way here. One of those smokes will get tossed down in front of Goga's mirror window, just on church wall, so that you can have Space Station try to pressure on it. The alibi getting tracked as well, just to try to put some pressure on the G2 offsite players. Pengu's been down in the ensuing fray. That smoke is about to clear in just a second, and you're going to have to see Space Station get a little bit faster. Pengu set back up, and G2 realizes that it's going to be a pushover through Moto's side. It's going to be Jonas trying to contest against them, and it's Thinking Nate that falls, leaving Bosco in an almost hopeless and unwinnable situation. is languishing and treading water, waiting to see if he can find a head, but no, a perfect start for G2. Fabian gets his second kill, and he shuts the door on any heroics from Bosco.
What a round there from Fabian. And G2 as a whole. 3 kills for Fabian right off the bat. A lot of those pretty tight angles as well. A big part of that round, though, just comes down to Pengu and Cancer Raketi by Blue Stairs managing to lock out the attacking team. Following that, Fabian going from place to place, whether in dirt tunnel or in sight, just fragging out. You gotta admire SSG. They never gave up in that round, but at the same time, they pretty much lost it as soon as they failed to do any damage by Blue Stairs.
Yeah, you lost one of your hard breachers who's gonna be tasked with taking out those hatches. If you can get them after, you know, one of the defenders will likely impact trick the hatch that's looking up in the kitchen. And then on top of that, you lose your hard breacher, your last hard breacher and Redeemer immediately afterwards. Just tries to solo entry through dirt. Looked like he didn't even have a drone escort. And there was Fabian there just waiting very patiently, playing an elbow of that dirt tunnel with the MP5. It was a couple, 1-2 bullets, that's all it took.
Yeah.
So you complete Church, the site that most teams win the first round, and then you go up to CCTV and Gym. Now, some teams are a bit shakier on CCTV, and some teams are a bit shakier on the Gym side of things. Typically, it tends to be the Gym master bedroom side. CCTV does get, I would say, a better rate of success, depending on how you play it.
I think overall the rate of success for Gym is slightly higher technically,
with a lower play rate.
But like half the play rate. Right. So the statistics are askew. I think that overall Cash is probably the better site. And that's why we see teams more often than not going there. So yeah, not terribly surprising to see G2 here. Of course, if they win this defense, they will go to Gym as their third site because nobody goes to Bar. It actually, it's been played a few times and I think it has one of the lowest success rates of any site in the entire competitive map pool.
This is actually, just this right here is interesting and can be a major issue if not played correctly. Yeah. A lot of teams will rappel upside down and use the blowtorch above because you can get picked off very easily if there's nobody watching and covering for you. Now there was cover fire from Redeemer and the wall leading into CCTV successfully opened up.
Redeemer sees somebody playing on the mirror window inside of Lounge, and that's an awkward position to play. I believe it's Jonas on that spot. But because his mute jammers were unable to deter the drones, his play is given away. Potentially a flank from stock could see Jonas being taken out very easily here, but that's potential, not a guarantee. It's on SSG to seize that opportunity. Rampy's gonna eat some damage in an initial gunfight, and very low. I'm sure with how much time is left in the round, SSG is gonna decide to reset him, but that is going to cost them a few seconds.
This is not that abnormal to see teams contesting Lounge. In fact, Spacestation has actually done a strategy similar to this involving castle barricades, but they'll usually castle off the double doors, leading over towards Lounge, and then have somebody playing behind a deployable shield at the bottom of that half step. That's just behind Jonas. Also sounds like a frag grenade of Rampy after he'd taken a bit of damage, goes off, but doesn't get anything in the process. And now Space Station, who've taken about 1:40, will reset Rampy and wonder exactly where to go to next. Keep in mind, Jonas has not been shaken off of his position by the front door. Fabian is there for supporting fire if need be, and the castle can be pushed on up. The ensuing fray, Jonas will take just a tiny bit of his HP, but oh, Fabian grabs one, shut down by Bosco. Jonas is not able to wrangle the bodies he wants, but Pengu takes down one. Jonas gets pressured from 2 angles, completely blinded. Might be in really bad shape. Pengu comes down to the rescue as Jonas just waits so patiently before he gets finished off by Chala. This is a very even back and forth between the teams where they lose 2 bodies each.
G2 very much in the better position as all they need to do is wait 30 seconds. SSG don't have a whole lot of control and they're looking to get Garage in their favor, but they have yet to even take out Default Cam, which is not what you want to be seeing if you're an SSG fan. Especially not that. Cancer Raketi, a very tight angle onto Chala, and down he goes. Goes for a second, gets it in a third! Excellent gunplay from Cancer Raketi, and all of SSG are felled.
It's usually a place that you'll see an ACOG play there, but what a monstrous performance by Kanto, and exactly what you expect out of the Finn. When he's playing at his best, he can completely dominate games and completely dominate rounds, and that's exactly what we just saw. though that was more of an issue from Spacestation just having nothing to really flush Kanto out. A lot of teams will play up top on the rafters in Garage, usually with an ADS or two, maybe a mute jammer. Makes it very difficult to drone you, makes it very difficult to push you as well. I'd imagine that was the circumstances in which Kanto Raketti found himself, and the circumstances in which Spacestation found a lot of people have at the hands of Kanto Raketti.
Kanto Raketti has some of the best mechanical skill of any player in this game, and if you don't believe me, see the last round, please. Now, going on to round number 3, of course, it's gonna be Jim, as we discussed in the previous round. You win on Cash, you win on Basement, you gotta go somewhere. It's not gonna be Bar, you're gonna go to Jim. This is comparable to Cash. I'd say the difference in the site is slight, and I don't know, most teams prefer Cash, but Jim is still very defensible.
The biggest issue that you have with Jim is that there's one site where you really can't rotate out of without having to go through another site. Take a look at CCTV Cash. If you lose control of CCTV, you got Cash next to it, and then you have the Garage. You've got opportunities to rotate if you need. You've also got the stairs not too far away. But when you look at Jim Master, the Jim side, where do you rotate to? You can either rotate towards Jacuzzi Wall, which almost always gets opened up by teams, or you have to rotate back into the bedroom. Sometimes there's just nowhere to go. And if you also lose construction, then that could end up being the entire round because you get pinched and pinned down.
I think that's why a lot of teams prefer to go to Cash, because construction is much more of an influence over Jim. It's an odd way that it influences it, though. It depends on how you set yourself up as a defensive team. If you're set up inside of Office and you leave yourself exposed to potentially lose 2 picks early on, and you lose control of construction, and it's not something you're trying to contest with like a mirror window, then yeah, it's not a great situation as a defensive team. But you can hold Office from the hallway quite easily depending on how you're playing it and how the enemy's attacking it. So it's situational, of course, but in this moment, right now, G2 trying to hold on to Cash to extend their sight and have just generally more control, and delaying the round is the main objective of the defenders, so why not? See some damage dished out onto Bosco, and Kanto Raketti is, oh man, I don't think he knows how many players are on the other side of that wall, but he's gonna fall back, and Jonas as well. This is the right call from G2. Probably read that SSG was very focused on taking control of Cash. They don't need to fight it.
I wonder how much of that was too early of a fallback, because we've seen teams, defend Cash till the bitter end.
Yeah.
We're talking 2 minutes full of absolute control that's now completely gone. But the one benefit that that G2 has is that they might have fallen off, but Spacestation hasn't really done much with the control.
And you're right, there are teams that will defend to the bitter end and be successful in that endeavor.
Right.
Like, here, I agree with you. Spacestation got control of Cash at about a 1:40 mark, and we're 40 minutes past that almost, or we're 40 minutes past that, Parker.
It's been a long match, kid.
It's been a long match, Parker. Yeah. And yeah, they haven't done a whole lot with it.
But there is opportunity now for Fabian to be able to come in on a flank, as he's made his way up blue, and has the opportunity to now go up red, as we like to name things after colors for ease and ultimate convenience.
Speed of calls.
Now that we have control of construction for SSG, and we can see that that's the case, the next impediment for Spacestation is going to be open up that construction wall. For the time being, there's been very minimal opportunity to do so. And there you go, they're just going to forego it. There's Pengu. Bosco will trade him off immediately as the Bandit falls, and the Jaeger is up next. As Kanto Raketti turns his back, and Bosco will pick up yet another. So it's time for Fabian to re-engage. Goga shreds through Bosco, and we once again have a 3v3. There's not a lot of time to work with for Spacestation. This could just end up being to their detriment. But hey, they're making it work, and Rampy and Chow pick up 2. Fabian will have to go for a plant denial, but he'll miss! Oh, you misread that, but it's enough to shake Thinking Nate off of the plant, which could buy Fabian enough time to get on up depending on what he's gonna do, but he's gonna have 2 bodies watching him. It's gonna be a hairy situation to get around. 1 body prone on the floor. He'll miss. Trade, actually, but it doesn't matter because there's 2 more bodies still left upright. And even though the diffuser gets down successfully, Spacestation hit the final kill right as it goes down and pick up their very first round.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, we have a match. SSG, their first round, as you said, Parker. And a big part of that actually was what was brought up earlier. Too quick of a rotation away from Cash, as it turns out. And after Cash was lost, there was no control on construction door. Notice how many picks Bosco got essentially for free, simply peeking from construction. That's dangerous. Should not be allowed to happen. And G2 gave up a whole lot because of it. Once they lost that manpower, a lot of the more pivotal anchors were done away with by Bosco, allowing the rest of SSG to collapse into the site and clean up shop. Now, of course, we get to go back downstairs, and you gotta imagine this is where G2 starts to shine again on one of their more preferred sites.
I was not entirely convinced that Space Station had a proper execution after they double vaulted in that window, but I mean, that's also hard to say what the actual execution was gonna be, because your strategy doesn't usually revolve around, hey, let's all jump through the same window.
No, I mean, I agree with you, to be honest, Parker. Looking at that last round, I thought that SSG were gonna lose it just based on the fact that their attack strategy was all over the place. But they managed to make it work off pure fragging power.
So what can you change about Church in that case? What can you change about this particular site? The alibi trick that G2 ran against Mantis and is now using once again at Space Station on this map. Usually just to try and hold off on what? CCTV above and then hold the top of blue? Appears to be the way that Kanto Raketi's gonna play this. He'll make his nest upstairs, might even have some presence in the garage. It's actually gonna be Pengu, so not Kanto. He'll continue on over towards the side of construction.
So G2,
looks like construction.
G2 have adjusted.
Right.
What? G2 have adjusted their roam quite substantially. They're not holding on to the top of blue as firmly as they had in the previous round. That could just have been the fact that G2 got caught in a rotation, but it is not really relevant in this round as the flashes start coming out on top of Catwalk. It's an easy spray for Kanto Raketi. He's going for a second and just narrowly missing the shots. Units by Oil Pit, gonna throw it at C4, but it will miss. Pengu also holding on to that garage doorway, and it's still full control for G2 inside of garage because they double down time and time again, and they have 3 players holding on to this position. They might lose it yet, though, as Space Station are coming in fierce and coming in fast. By actually being useful there, it will detect somebody outside of garage. Jackal track on Pengu, and he is spotted in the pixel angle. That's unfortunate for Kanto Raketi. Doesn't do any damage to him though, so I guess not the end of the world. Pengu going for a play and a half, and he's gonna get it. Shala goes down, and on low HP, it doesn't seem like the attackers are aware of his position. He might get another, and he will! What a play from Pengu! The patience pays off, and Space Station Gaming once again on a basement attack very quickly find themselves in a 2 versus 5.
This is just a strategy that Space Station never has to encounter in North America, which is a heavy garage presence on Church, but something that a couple teams in Europe do, and because say, hey, that's the home region of G2, they need to be aware of that and practice that. Like I mentioned, you saw it quite a bit actually in the Mantis FPS game. Now, the one difference was that Mantis were hitting their shots. So far, Space Station haven't necessarily been as accurate as the Korean team that seemed to give so much trouble to G2. A rotate will come in from Space Station, and it's Redeemer and Thinking Nade, this time with Bosco silence. The Jackal will try to use his smokes as best as he can. Amidst the smoking, it's gunned down by Kanto Raketi on a poor peek, leaving Redeemer to use his utility, but the look on his face says, I know what's gonna happen next. A 1v5 with 30 seconds to go. He's got hope in the fact that both Pengu, Jonas, and Kanto are really low. This Thermite's gonna be in a bit of trouble. His entire move is being just broadcast to the rest of his team, and well, he outduels the Bearing 9, but cannot outduel the T5 SMG. A strange end there as Redeemer manages to last a lot longer than people expected. But Church goes the way of the defenders more often than not, and it's no stranger for G2 this time.
Yeah, we're in the often right now, and G2 really setting down the law. Up 3-1, but it's, again, defense clubhouse, so there's still a match yet. We're going to
No, you don't dab on camera, come on.
Did he?
He dabbed on the camera, Michael.
Didn't even catch it. That is unfortunate, though. We're going to be going to Cash next. And the way that Cash played out last time was very interesting from SSG. Honestly, they just lost a lot of gunfights off-site. A lot of it had to come down to how they were trying to contest in Lounge. That failed contention ultimately was the downfall of SSG as they barely even got to the site, it felt like, for the majority of that round. Their presence was a little bit lackluster, and garage control being a focus was not the right call in that situation.
Well, it was the right call for G2.
Why? It certainly was, Parker.
Like I said, it's not something that Space Station is used to having to deal with. And because of that, I mean, Lycan's a great coach. There's obviously been enough VODs for them to review on Clubhouse, and in particular G2's performance on Clubhouse. You have to be able to adapt and confront the challenges head on. But there was nothing that I saw on either of the church attacks that came out from SSG that led me to believe that their entry was good enough to establish the control that they needed. Be it at the top of Blue, be it inside of Garage, they just got their wings clipped before they could actually take flight. So, look at round 5, Cash CCTV. It was a struggle for Spacestation on Gym Bedroom, but they made it work. In large part was because they were able to take control of Cash so fast. On this particular site, if you've got control of Cash, then you're likely getting a plant down. Your focus needs to be elsewhere. It happens to be, for most teams, on Garage, which is where Thinking Nate is looking, and proved to be so tremendously difficult for SSG on the previous round.
Server wall. Looks like denied. Possibly an impact through the Maverick hole. And it is possible, does happen, and yes, it was indeed an impact. The second one goes out though, in the exothermic charge. Not on the wall that time, so poor time management there from Pengu. But if we're being honest, getting one exothermic charge is pretty valuable. And through a Maverick hole, no less. Just impressive. Trying to get the wall open. Redeemer might not know that this is an option, but he's going for it anyway. And the commitment pays off. Wall open now, despite the impact tricking earlier. Bosco looking on a long angle towards Garage, and seems to be cutting off rotation here.
Oh, Kanto Raketti can go for a beautiful run out now, just waiting to see, but there's nobody there, at least for the time being. Reading if anyone's up at the top. There's one body, but he won't be able to see it in time. Kanto, can you lean in as close to the monitor as you can? No, he's not going to do this.
This is where Kanto Raketti missing that ACOG right now, unfortunately.
Did Jaeger have ACOG?
I wasn't making a joke about that. I was just making it ACOG in general. Anyway, Chala outside of Garage, and he will finally be taken out by Kanto Raketti, who finds the angle. The patience, seriously impressive from the Finn.
He had opened up that wall. He knew there was somebody there. That's where he was seated. Now the rest of SSG, who just try to plot on in through Garage, will find that they are one number shorter. As down goes Redeemer, and Thinking Nate will still have control up there. Not going to be much for Rampy as Fabian is there to cut him down, and it's a 2v5. Hasn't really been much from Spacestation on many of these offenses, but there's Bosco coming to the rescue. He finds his fate at the hands of an SMG-11, and then Fabian tosses it out, and it's an explosive round with that C4. That will finish that off. 4-1 right now. That's the number that you want to have on a defense, on Clubhouse. This is exactly where you want to be as G2. You twist the knife, you get 5-1, and you head into the next half. You're pretty comfy at that point.
Yeah, and if you ended 4-2, you're still in a decent spot. I mean, that's a predictable result. But 5-1 off, obviously optimal here for G2. They're looking like they could potentially take it as well. Looks like it's going to be a clash from Fabian, which is quite interesting. Nope, 6 pick. Okay, that makes a whole lot more sense. We've seen, okay, now here's the reason that makes sense. We've seen G2 try to make Clash work many times before. Not in her current build that I can recall, but in the past, even when she had the quick swap, it was just not something that I think G2 were really a fan of. So every time G2 needs to take a fight, it seems like they prefer to have an SMG, a shotgun, whatever it is, but a shield on defense seems to limit their roaming potential. I can see why Clash would be useful on this site, though, if any, for holding on to Cash.
Reinforcing the wall!
Look at that.
Fabian and Kantor first and fourth in kills per round of the players remaining in the tournament.
Oh, also, yeah, Fabian technically I think has a lower KDR than Kantor Raketti, but he has more kills. Fabian has really been fragging this tournament.
They've also played so few rounds in comparison to their peers. They made it out of group stages with great efficiency.
Yeah.
I think it was something like Kantor only played like 40 or 50 rounds, and then the next that it was on the infographic was like 80 or 90, which is astonishing, the disparity between them.
It was something like that. Well, Kantor had like 40 kills. It was 79 and 80 or something like that. But that's from the group stages.
Don't quote me on those numbers.
Yeah, nor me. Jolly gonna be looking to open up the Jacuzzi wall along with Redeemer. Dual hard destructors here for Spacestation. They had to have known it's going to be a gym defense. So I'm curious what they want to use Hibana for. It's possible they were just predicting a bandit trick, which is fair. Better safe than sorry. Bring the extra hard destruction, I say. But it is going to limit the other potential utility that Space Station could bring. For example, Glaz or something along those lines.
Space Station realized that fighting through construction was not exactly what they wanted to try and accomplish this time.
Yep.
So what does G2 do? G2 knows, and they respond immediately. Kanto lighting a body up. There's to be Bosco, who will manage to survive that tussle. He's a little worse for wear. He's on flashing HP and will likely need a reset at some point. It's an encounter that could be very scary for the team because the disruption that is offered and the lifeline that comes out from Bosco will be very pivotal on a much closer quarters take that will occur on Gym Master rather than a more open and easier to manage site. Here we go, Kanto's trying it again.
I can imagine if it weren't for that tree, Kanto Kenny would have been fragging right now, but just a lot of visual obstructions right now for Kanto Kenny. He's still trying to make it work, but meanwhile, the jacuzzi wall is already open.
The crazy thing is they don't even need Kanto for the execute right now because SSG's not pushing at all. They're just sitting and waiting, and I think that it's an issue with SSG because the drone coverage doesn't really appear to be all that strong. I don't know if Fabian's been found out at all. Kanto finally gets Bosco, but thinking Nade was primed and ready. He avenges his fallen comrade and puts us back into a 4v4. Once again, as we've seen many times, it's going to come down to Fabian to be the real wild card here. The Gumine gets triggered as Pengu manages to evade the projectiles getting tossed in. He's going to go a flashbang and it'll push Pengu off of that bathroom mirror window, which means that you have to play it from a much greater distance back. If there's anybody who's going to be able to land those shots on G2, it's probably going to be Pengu, given that Kanto is down. Finally, Fabian gets spotted, but he'll fell Chala. Oh no! The Abana just missing the shots that are required to take out the pulse. Blow out the cardiac sensor and you know that you've downed him, but Fabian not confident in his abilities. As Giannis falls on site, there's Pengu, pistol out. Pengu misses a whole whack of shots before getting Redeemer, re-engaging, missing. Gogo will need to get back up to site, waiting to push. Pengu with the pistol, doesn't even need to reload. And a 5-1 split will be the first half for G2's defense here on Clubhouse.
Solid defense here for G2 so far. But now they're going to have to adjust and move over to attack. And this is where the potential is for SSG. Gonna be close still. And I got to be honest, based on what we saw from that first half, it just seems like SSG are afraid to take fights. A lot of the players from SSG in that last round were just sitting on the roof for a good portion of the round. I have no idea what their plan was. Possible they were just trying to dynamically allocate manpower to either A, jacuzzi balcony, or B, the balcony facing into gym. I understand the logic there where, yeah, okay, if there's a weakness on the south balcony, we can go there, or west balcony, we can go there. But it would be nice for SSG to just pick a push and stick to it. Also, we have been seeing, or we saw a lot from G2, Kanto Kenny specifically, a lot of deep flanks, runouts as well. And these angles on Clubhouse especially should be pretty easy for SSG to deny, if we're being honest. This is not a runout map.
Right. I want to talk just for a little bit about what happened with G2 on defense there. Now, a 5-1 scoreline can be very deceptive because you can still emerge with a 5-1, but those can be very back and forth rounds.
Right.
Only time that there was an opportunity for Space Station having control of the site to plant diffuser was on Gym Master, and it was when they were in a 1v3. The rest of the time, they barely even came close to the site, let alone have control of it. There was no post-plant circumstance in which SSG had to win, and there was no clutch potential for G2 because no clutches needed to be there. Outside of the, of course, 1v3 that fell apart for G2. It really just speaks to the dominance of G2 on that half. And that's more of a troubling sign than that 5-1 scoreline because you're not winning, you're winning big. Now, Space Station had an opportunity there to take a tactical timeout. If they lose this round, they're going to be taking a timeout on a 6-1 match point scenario. We've seen teams do that, and a lot of times it ends up being way too late.
Possible they just thought the half transition was going to be enough. Plus, they don't exactly know what to adjust for yet because they haven't played against G2's attack. And that's the scary thing about being at 5-1. You've got so little breathing room. I know you're on the advantageous side now, but if you lose, it's done. Wow, damage being done to Chala. Speaking of, he got nothing out of that. Went for a pre-fire trying to get the Maverick. Maybe a right call if you're trying to get advantage, but it worked against him. Rampy's peek, though, will work for him. He's also put down a C4 for a counter peek. Rampy's gonna get shut down from above, though, from Freezer instead of a peek from the main hallway. Good communication there from G2 to relay what is covered and come from the other angles.
I don't know why Pengu is waiting. I'm assuming he's just guessing that there's going to be an impact trick, maybe, but the only person who's likely got impacts, or even possible to have impacts, would be Moscow.
The floor was not prepped for an impact, so I'm not sure.
I was wondering if he was just waiting for a call.
It was the mute jammer. Yeah, it was Rampy's mute jammer. You can put it on the little black shelf, and it can block a little bit of that drop down. But because you need so many, you need the Habanas, you know, to detonate. If some of them are blocked, then it's going to be, maybe you won't open it up.
You need 4 of the 6.
Yep, 4 of the 6.
I think that's why he had the Hibana X Kyros. He might have even just doubled up, realizing, hey, we don't need that utility.
Yeah.
There's 45 seconds left. It's a 4v4. You'd lit up Chala earlier on when Kanto saw him through the hatch. And then parts of it carved open by the Maverick. 3 bodies from G2 inside a kitchen. They're just going to drop and go for it. And the only coverage is the Yokai drone from Redeemer. Goga trying to go for a plant. There's a Yokai there. Redeemer, are you going to be able to stop it in time? There you go. It's prevented by the Yokai as they try to spot the gadget. They'll get it. Bosco takes out Jonas. There's Redeemer to do the work on Goga. This Yokai can't do it. Kanto grabs one, and he's in a clutch or kick scenario as Pengu falls as well. Kanto going to hold the wall, but man, a good volley from Thinking Nate will be able to give Space Station a very much needed round. And just a tiny bit of breathing room, given how dire these circumstances are for them at the moment. Still a 5-2 in favor of G2.
Way to go, SSG, on that round. The Echo really paying off. Excellent play from Redeemer inside of the dirt tunnel. He did, well, quite a majority of the hold inside of Arsenal was just Redeemer. If we take a step back and look at it, Yokai drones denied the defuse going down, and following that, he also managed to get his frags out onto Goga. We also saw, of course, Rampy with that excellent shotgun play, but shut down from Pengu. All of the utility play from G2 was pretty solid. Redeemer just barely got that kill, as you saw, but he still got it, and that's what counts. The overall hold from SSG was just relying on Church being an excellent crossfire into Arsenal, and if you have Redeemer to hold backside, the rest of the anchors can hold the push. So, a necessary round for SSG, and they will not take the tactical timeout. They're instead going to go to cash. This is a little bit scary if you're SSG. You're playing it kind of on the wire. If you lose one round, then you need to take the pause to try and think of a way to counter the way that G2 plays. The problem is, G2 is one of those teams that tend to change their strategy round by round.
10 seconds to go.
And you can't get locked into a strategy that's actually not going to work against what, well, the adjustment will be from G2. So we'll see what actually happens, though. Of course, they haven't committed to that just yet. This is a really interesting mirror setup inside of a garage, a double mirror, and a shield to boot.
Nobody spawned over where Rampy was looking for that spawn peak, by the way.
Where was he peeking out?
He was at the top of wood.
Oh, okay, so, yeah.
But nobody spawned over by that side. It was all spawned over by the main doors. There you go. Just in case you were curious where it was.
Thank you, Parker.
Well, I mean, I wasn't the one controlling the spectator cam, but you're very welcome.
Thank you, Marcy.
There you go. So you've got Kanto Raketti on the upside down rappel, likely take his blowtorch to the bottom of those CCTV panels, and then you'll have the exothermic charge go down, and it's very routine to be able to take this wall, or so it usually is, barring an impact trick or two.
Yeah, of course you can't impact trick above this one, but you can below, as the Maverick holes are open. And it looks like Legion wants to do it, but it's not going to work. Thermite gets the wall open. Well done to place that exothermic charge further from the impacts than last time. Garage is such an important part of Space Station Gaming's defense here, as you can see, based on those dual mirror windows as well, and the fact that Redeemer, the Echo player, is inside of Garage. He is going to be such an important anchor to lose should it come to pass. It's going to put more pressure on him to stay alive. Fabian doing his best to get into Garage and clear. He's not going to break the mirror window because he knows if they get control, or by they I mean G2, if they get control of Garage, then I mean you have control of site because of those mirror windows. So G2 will be leaving them alone for now, unless they decide to go for a different push.
It's going to be the final logic bomb going off, and once again, presence on top of this catwalk proved to be a significant issue. But you toss a frag grenade up, missing it for the time being. It's a rotate that will just narrowly miss, as neither of the sites from G2 are able to capitalize on this push. They know that if they move on over towards the stairs, they'll get gunned down. There's a second set of stairs, though, and Thinking Nade's perched up there, and he'll go through Jonas. Chala fires back. Man, what a volley as Space Station comes alive, shutting the door on G2, leaving Goga outside. And well, I guess at this point you kind of got to go for a plant, don't you? Just wading right in. No impact frag, a flawless round. Michael, blast off for Space Station, 2 in a row.
I remember we were seeing G2 easily locking out SSG because SSG would not stop just waiting outside, looking for a pick, unsure what to really do. Well, in that round, it seemed like it had gone the opposite direction. G2 pushing into Garage, but unsure exactly how to attain control of Garage. They don't have a Capitao. They don't have a Monty. Monty's banned. It was banned by SSG. So G2 really need to find a new way to take control of Garage moving forward if they want to have success on Cash, assuming they want to double down and recommit, in fact, to that Garage take. Because honestly, based on the results we just saw, the right call might just be to attack somewhere else. Construction is still an option. You don't have to commit to Garage. The problem, of course, being those double mirror windows. It almost seemed like the mirror windows were a taunt for G2, trying to bait them into a Garage push.
Space Station do something similar, baiting a team, I think it was at DreamHack, if I remember correctly, on Bank, where they set up a mirror window inside a janitorial, they popped it, and played very far back over by Skylight, basically invited the team into the site and then completely retook it. A masterful performance. At least I think that was Space Station. My memory is a little blurry as DreamHack Winter was, what, 3 months ago?
Well, Space Station, it fits their, it fits them, their identity. They tend to be the team that will bring out the tricks that will trip up your opponent and cause a lot of problems.
Just had a bit of a tactical pause there for a moment. We're able to get underway here as it's going to be gym bedroom for Space Station. So you called it very correctly, Michael. You don't go to bar and you don't go to stock. It's been played under a dozen times in all 3 regions of Pro League thus far.
Jeez.
There's a reason for that.
Has a really low win rate.
Well, it's just that Gym Master is such a better site by almost every single measuring stick.
Yeah.
So why not go to it, even if it's the site? That teams lose more often than not. We have our very own kiss cam, so there you go. Cheer!
Had a lot of that at Rio.
There were a lot of kiss cams earlier.
Yeah. So, here we go. Getting everybody ready to start back up. And like you said, Jim, the defense here for SSG. They really need to be able to take this one. We're going to go to match point if they don't. But this is definitely the best opportunity for G2 to put us there. There's going to be a lot of investment in this round in terms of strategy, I'm sure, from G2. Operator selection kind of hints at a jacuzzi wall take. Not terribly surprising. This is Jim Master, of course. Gonna have some pressure, I'm sure, on those south windows, but it's gonna require clearing out the roamers from SSG inside of Cash, of which there is currently 1, and also Bosco in construction to support him. Not much of an extended roam horizontally, though, from SSG. They've actually only got 1 anchor right now.
Redeemer, unsurprisingly.
Yeah, it's currently just Redeemer.
Well, Bosco's getting back to site now.
I mean, I think he's playing construction. I'm not sure. He keeps moving back and forth. But yeah, okay, 2 anchors, and the one coming back, Thinking Nade, will be cut down, punished for his positioning early in the round. Unfortunate to see, but it does happen.
It's a good pick and a good read, all things considered, for Pengu on that rappel on the stairs, heading up, and opens things up by taking out Thinking Nade. Now, at least Thinking Nade is on an operator who doesn't have a ton of utility. Imagining that all of those bandit batteries have already been down, you might have a C4 at best. Well, obviously, it's never good to find yourself in a 4v5 hole, but if you're going to lose any operator, it might be that or the castle that I would probably want to go first.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Having the bandit gone is mostly just going to come down to the manpower, of course. First phone call comes out here from Fabian. He's trying to move his way up the main stairs. He's being droned in right now. Looks like by Pengu. SMG 12 out, and this is such a powerful weapon at close range. If within about 10 meters, he's gonna have actually a substantial advantage just based on his rate of fire alone. Shots come in to distract and bait for Fabian, but nobody on SSGs takes that bait. Fabian is, as of yet, unknown on the top of these stairs and in a very powerful position.
Checking for a yokai as the IQ of Pengu is on the other side of the map and not really able to do too much with that sensor in order to try to find the electronics. Scary proposition for Fabian if he thinks that he's been undetected, waiting just a bull rush on in, and there's a drone above him that's watching. A good reflexive shot, but Bosco goes down, and there's gonna be another. As Kanto takes out Redeemer, Goga drops, but G2, full control. Rampy cut off from the site. He's got a couple open holes that he'll try to work through, but ultimately, this is likely gonna be in vain. Taking the time to readjust his hairline, nods at the camera, but Diffuser goes down successfully, and G2 look to push this one towards match point, and they'll do just that. Kanto Raketti finishes it. Puts SSG out of their misery on that round. Doesn't waste too much time for Rampy. Gym Master falls in favor of the attackers, as is always tradition with this matchup. And now we can go back down to church for SSG's defense.
I expect and hope for SSG that nod was in fact in response to somebody saying, don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it, next round. Because that's certainly the mentality SSG needs in this situation, to take it round by round. Not having a really fantastic match overall, but they have managed to defend these standard bomb sites here on Clubhouse, which means it's very possible that they can bring it back. The complication is that G2, while they also lost their first gym defense, they managed to win the second one. That means that now SSG has to do the same. It's pretty much going to go around and around in circles like this on Clubhouse when you have two teams that are as close in skill as G2 and SSG. Does seem, though, like G2 are winning a lot more of their gunfights in general. SSG are bringing out quite a lot of smart plays, but is that really enough to, bring this match in their favor? I'm not sure. They get to defend basement, though, so going to be very comfortable in this next round.
I mean, the biggest worry here is that if you expect a 4-2 stat line on defending Clubhouse, then SSG has to emulate a 5-2. They can't lose Gym Master twice. Had they been successful that previous round on Gym Master, then I think the odds are in favor of us going towards overtime.
Agreed.
The fact that they're in a position now where you've got to be perfect on Church, Cash, and then Gym. That's a tough proposition for a lot of teams, and not a prospect that a lot of people want to gamble on.
And it's also the fact that they're the team on the downturn right now, that they're losing. It's so much pressure. Remember in the pre-match when we talked about how SSG as a team, one of the things that they need to work on as one of the less experienced overall, comparatively, is their ability to remain focused under pressure. I mean, it's something that a lot of teams suffer from, and it takes so much time to develop that skill. And there are certain teams who have it down pat, like G2. But they're not the ones under pressure right now because they started on defense.
This last time around, that mute jammer that was on Space Station proved to be a bit of a hindrance. Required the Bucky Jonas to push in the kitchen to take care of it. Well, how do you battle that? Well, you just don't have the mute jammer. There's none on the board for Space Station. I think the mute was a right call on an operator last time, but they thought otherwise, and it's going to be an Echo Castle combination. Like I noted as we were just starting in this matchup, SSG loves running Castle on this map. It's not really much of a surprise to see the operator here. As you have your typical buck upstairs just tearing up the floors, he'll force some sight lines all the way down to the bomb site. Also be able to cut off any rotates that might happen. And ping goes out and Jonas comes very close to getting the Mira. I don't know if that's a shot he can make, but the Mira is gonna fall off.
Yeah, this is a really old angle from back in the beginning, and it's honestly not often used, but it can disable mirror windows, and it, faded into obscurity a while ago. G2, though, the oldest players in terms of experience in Siege, they're well aware.
Isn't a failed impact trick, was it? Oh, Shala heartbeats Fabian. It's taken out by Goga immediately and swiftly put in the grave by Bosco. And SSG ends up walking away with a lead on operators after that encounter. He'll quickly be seized by G2 as Kanto Raketti downs Bosco and finishes him off with 1 minute to go. And an execute from G2 is coming out over on Church side. There's still both Yokai drones out at the moment. It'll be up to Pengu to try to find them. He has his gadget in hand and is looking for them. What a shot from Jonas. Beheading, thinking nade, and Plant going down from the buck as well. Where's the Yokai drone? Not in position. Won't be able to get it as frustration will reign over Redeemer. But Rampy on a flank cuts down Kanto Raketti, looking for another. Jonas sits inside a sight. A double kill from Rampy. And with Yokai drone still up, this could be good intel. Jonas downed, and that's it. Space Station bail themselves out of a terrible situation and fist bumps across the board. They'll stave off defeat for this round in particular. And it's 6-4 as we head in to round number 11.
This could be the miracle run here from SSG, but it's gonna come close. We get to go to Cash next round, and that's a really great spot for them. And also, sounds like gonna take a tactical timeout. Give themselves some time to think about how they want to defend this cash room. But I gotta be honest, Parker, I think that they need to be thinking a little bit forward in the future, as defending Jim is going to be the biggest hurdle. And also worth noting, G2 came very close to winning that last round. It was honestly very scary for SSG, but Space Station managed to prevail.
That really boiled down to the Yokai drones being able to buy enough time inside of church while Rampy went undetected, pushing up main hallway, and then over to the Moto doorway.
It's also the information from those Yokai drones, as you astutely pointed out during the clutch, is the calls from the dead teammates on defense for SSG had to have been extremely important, allowing that clutch to happen. It's good to see it. Excellent teamwork.
A tactical timeout as well from SSG, just trying to close this one out and possibly be able to discuss what is going on. They're very confident in their abilities, and I was a little bit, I would say, quick to judge about the fact that they didn't take a timeout when they were facing a 5-1 scoreline at the half. They figured they'd be able to grind out at least 1 or 2 sites and then call it when they need it the most. They take it. They're gonna sit on match point until we go to overtime though. Fabian had teased a blitz, so go on to the Dokkaebi, and instead of a Rook, we're going to get a Castle as the 2 6 picks for both of these teams. Dokkaebi will be a major annoyance, but nothing outside of the ordinary for G2. Run the Dokkaebi pick a number of times. The Castle Barricade, once again, for SSG, or the Castle Barricades, will just try to slow down the advance of G2, who haven't been exactly the quickest to be able to get it.
No, they certainly haven't. Their attack strategies are well coordinated, I would say. That last round especially, I like what G2 were trying to do, pushing in through the church wall. Again, it's an older strategy, but it works. And if you can pull it off, then there's not a whole lot the defense can do to counter you. If you open church wall and you have full control over that engagement, it's a good situation to be in. But, Parker, I think that the most crucial part of a church wall push is having somebody on attack, sitting at the bottom of main stairs, watching main hallway. The G2 didn't do that. They didn't have that control. And we've seen so many people, so many teams have that control and give it away and lose the round because of that on attack of the bottom floor during a church take. So, yeah, unfortunate to see from G2. It did cost them the round, and Space Station, I'm sure, very happy about that, as is Rampy, who was the one who flanked through that main hallway.
So, a real early pick. Say goodbye to your only real heart breacher, Goga. Can't plant from the afterlife. He probably can. If there's anybody who could, it's probably him. But still, you lose your thermite very early. That's a brazen pick by Thinking Nate. So what do you do now? Well, you rely a lot on your Maverick. And there might actually be a way to cut this wall down. I think it only works on single panels, but Kanto's being just a tiny bit sloppy, and he's about to run out of fuel. I don't think you're going to be able to get in there, boys. You're going to have to go around somewhere else.
Did he used all his fuel?
I think he still has a tiny bit left. But I mean,
why?
I don't know.
It's that was a weird Maverick play.
Yeah.
It's a soft wall, I think.
You know why he does it? Because it shaves out the metal reinforcement, if I recall correctly. And there you go. Now you can open the whole thing up.
Oh, it was reinforced.
You do the top, and then you do the bottom, and the metal reinforcement falls off.
Clever.
I didn't know that Kanto had gone all the way to the edge. And there you go. Now the Buck can turn what was a reinforced wall.
Yeah. I didn't even see the wall before he opened it up. Yeah.
It's like magic.
Like magic, indeed, Parker. And good coordination there from G2. A little trick that I'm sure you'll see a lot more of in the future.
A bomb has been located.
Slow going though, afterwards. Little bit of blowtorch here left, but it's going to be used to get a kill. Look at that. Cantor Kenny, knowing the angles and playing them well. Thinking A, playing by the A-bomb chassis will go down. And here's just a little bit more for G2 to work with on this construction wall. They've established so much control with a decent use of their utility overall. Echo drone going to be taken out. It's the Yokai, at least one of them. That's not great to see from Space Station. They got such an early pick, but it seems like every second that passes, G2 is gaining more traction.
Here's gonna be the issue. 2 smoke grenades get tossed deep into the site as Fabian will activate a logic bomb. Bosco pushes out. Oh, and it'll be Redeemer there with Rampy also adding to the tally. It's Pengu to come on in, sees the Yokai and all the bodies of Space Station off site. Pachala's there, returns back. Pengu takes down Bosco. He's got the pistol out, but he doesn't hold that diffuser. He'll need to retrieve it. Doesn't have a wealth of time to do so. The clock will continue to run rampant over Pengu as he goes over towards red stairs, realizing that being exposed for 7 seconds, unideal. The Yokais might still be in play, but it doesn't really matter. A peel off of the plant from Pengu, and that's all it for time. Save the KD, why not? Space Station will push us to the very final round as they sit now 6-5, and what a comeback it has been. But Michael, they will need to do what they have not been able to do so far, which is win the Gym Master site.
G2 managed it 1 of 2 attempts, but it was a close round still. And going to Gym here for the second time, we're gonna need to see a repeat of G2's half, now by SSG on that defense. They have managed to win a lot of these rounds, but it's come close many times. That last round, in fact, it looked like G2 were gonna be able to take it. They had a lot of control outside of the site, the periphery, started to push in, and it was an explosive frag fest for SSG to enable a round victory. Then, after the engagement went down, the last 2 players were aware, so little time, let's just play for the retake if we need to, and it was the right call. Now, a little bit of a technical pause here while we get everybody situated, but again, potentially the last round of this match. And here's the thing. If we do get to overtime, a huge part of the result of this match is gonna come down to who gets defense first. Because so far what we've seen is Cash, both teams are great at defending. Bottom floor, both teams are great at defending. Gym, not so much. Cool thing is though, if you get defense first, you only have to defend 2 sites. We'll see.
We'll get back into this one. You want to make a prediction on overtime or not?
No, I don't want to make that prediction. I just solid no there, Parker. I genuinely think this could go either way. The last time SSG defended Gym, it was not great, to be honest. But I think they have what it takes to take this all the way to OT. I think, safe prediction, I think it's G2's round to lose.
Yes.
I think the safest way to go about this is, if G2 play it perfectly, well, if they play it perfectly, then they can't be stopped. But if they play it well, decently, then I think G2 should be able to take this, push us to map 2.
This is Space Station's map choice. Game on the line. Possibility to move on to Bank, G2's choice. Finding yourself down a map. You roll the die on a clash. Redeemer will be switching off of the Echo. Saw him playing firmly in the bathroom, commanding both of those drones, being able to give the information to the rest of his team. There was a dedicated call, I would imagine, that, hey, this isn't exactly the most beneficial.
I don't know if he'll have enough torch to get the whole wall after he missed, and it looks like indeed he will just fall off.
Well, his goal is to just get so that Goga can go for
Yeah, he might just be trying to go for the thermite, but yeah, there it is. It's going to be opened up nice, easy. Not the most efficiency on the map, of course, but I suppose it doesn't really matter in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, Kanto's probably now going to head on over to construction, maybe poke a couple holes in the wall.
Yeah.
Maybe sit and wait, maybe get a small entry into office if he needs to, and then
take out Rampy inside of Cash.
Yeah, that's probably your goal at this point, right? You don't need it to open anything up, all things considered. One thing that is quite beneficial for Space Station is the last time they played on this site, they lost thinking nade really early as he was trying to come back to site, possibly being recalled by his teammates, and Pengu was there to gun him down. Worked out quite well. but you don't have any casualties this early in. And as Kanto soon discovers, that castle barricade inside a gym doesn't really lead to much. It leads to another castle barricade and reinforced walls. So he'll head on over to the third castle barricade that we've seen, 2 of which are on the exterior windows.
Here they fixed that. They took out that vault on Clubhouse roof.
Oh.
Yeah, I've only heard. Thinking they're gonna get one, but from behind, Fabian will at least down Chala. Just some decent damage, but the Clash is keeping him alive, using that shield, and the support from Space Station is coming out. Bosco with the gas canisters, and oh no, Fabian's being flanked as well from below. This is a bad situation for the Dokumi to find himself in. The C4 will finish him off, but Goga is fragging out. Takes down 2 as he comes into the building. It's nice and even on that scoreline right now. Thinking Nate, though, is on fire on the main stairs. He gets 2, but can't get the 3rd. That's 3 for Goga, in fact, as he starts pushing towards Bosco. It's a shotgun out, I'm sure, and the first blast will miss, but the second is gonna be from Rampy, who shuts him down. Space Station take us to overtime. We're not going to map 2 yet.
How unthinkable was it that you have a 5-1 split on one side, then you move to a 5-2 split on the other, and an incredible comeback that will surely fire up Space Station and give them tons of confidence and momentum as they go through what could be 2 or 3 rounds of overtime here. As you see from the operator lineups popping up in the audience at least, you at home might not be able to see it just yet. Space Station gets to defend twice.
Ooh. So, as discussed earlier, if you get to OT on Clubhouse, he who gets to defend first usually wins. That's just how it is on this map, especially when you have such a deadlocked situation like this one, where both teams are capable of defending all of the sites. Jim, yeah, it's a little bit, tricky, as it has mixed results for both teams. The only 2 attacking wins we saw were 1 for G2 on Jim and 1 for SSG on Jim. But you only have to defend twice if you defend first in OT. It's a side switch back and forth. There are 3 OT rounds, and defenders, yeah, they're gonna go basement first, then they're gonna go cash, and if the record persists, SSG will take this map handily.
Watch G2 just absolutely come through in the clutch and just pulverize SSG on the site, and then we're sitting here going, huh?
5 seconds to go.
Logic out the window, we don't need it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's one of the things that has always made a good team great, is the ability to break streaks like what we have right now, where both teams are just defense win, defense win, defense win. So it would prove the greatness of G2 if they were able to win this right here and now, and we've seen crazier things, so not gonna be too unusual.
It's a similar setup to what we had last time around from Space Station. You've got Rampy running Impact, so there's at least the prospect of stopping one of the possible hard destructive tools being applied to that kitchen hatch.
No mute this time.
3 hard breachers being brought out from G2, so you hit the panic button at this point.
Yeah, I honestly think it's the right call. 3 hard breachers, a soft destructor, and anti-gadgets. The Thatcher will clear out the ADS, allowing for the nade from Jonas. And must have been caught by an ADS.
Maybe another.
Yeah.
Fusion, though, on the face of Jonas as the second gets tossed in, and it looks like it got eaten as well.
Yeah,
Possible some ADS juggling from Thinking Nade went on down there.
I mean,
It actually looks like they might have gone off. We just might not have heard it. I'm not...
Well, I don't see the explosive residue on the floor, so that was a really interesting... Oh, you know what? Maybe it went through the rotation hole and there's an ADS in there as well. Who knows? Anything's possible, but the nades did not detonate as far as I could tell, and that's not the result that G2 wanted out of that situation. 2 EMPs and 2 grenades used for naught. G2 have lost a lot of their valuable resources, especially on this site.
There's a C4 that goes out from Space Station that nets almost nothing. Thinking Nade continuing on his hot trend. An EMP goes off from Fabian, but Pengu falls. G2 will find themselves in a 4v5 moving forward with 1 set of their hard destructive tools gone and 2 decent weapons in the bearing as well as the Type 89.
G2 are playing very close to blue, but an Echo will take down Jonas, allowing for Rampy to get the kill. That's good coordination by Church Wall. Goga's trying to go for the plant. Mirror window opened up. Fabian's going for the cover, and he will eliminate Bosco, who is trapped. Nothing he could have done in that situation. and he will be eliminated because of it. Yokai drone still in play. Redeemer has been so huge for SSG so far throughout this match, using those Yokais to great effect, and he's just juggling them. Fabian eliminates Thinking Nade though, and G2 is in a good spot. There's very little time though.
And going for the defuse is Goga. There's a Yokai still there. Chala trying to make his way in through the rotate point. Been so good earlier on, but there you go.
Oh.
Kanto! No! Kanto! You take down Chala, but you get Goga at the same time. And this could be a fatal mistake. As now Kanto has to go in for the plant. The second Yokai drone nowhere nearby. And Rampy, who was great last time on Castle, will need to go for a retake, but he gets cut down as Kanto's watching. Still gonna be a Yokai drone for Redeemer to possibly give information. He's gonna get peeked, but G2 wins Church. Michael, what did I say about this site?
You called it.
Massive victory, the first successful attacking round on this site. All game comes to put G2 on match point.
So, the miracle of G2 winning that round, will it be matched by their opponents is now the real question.
It's always nice to see BC, by the way.
BC.
For Dark Zero, welcome. Won't be competing on the stage like last year.
No, unfortunately. But it's good to see him though.
Yeah.
So that team kill from Kanto Ketty ultimately, I guess, didn't really mean that much. Landing his shots apart from that, oh, and actually I suppose including that.
Middle to all of this, by the way, is that Fabian's currently sitting on 16 kills.
He has been fragging
7 deaths.
So much, not just in the main event, but also the group stages. Fabian had the most kills on his team outside of the group, out of the group stages. Not the best KDR, but the most kills. And he's just, that's so weird, man. You don't expect it from him of all people, but I guess he is the best player in the world.
Let's just say this, Fabian never really lacks confidence. When you see some of the ways that some of his other teammates have played this season in Pro League, it looks like there's been a lot of hesitation. Goga and Jonas in particular have lagged behind in their ability to land shots and play confidently. We saw it on a couple of the EU play days leading up to the Invitational, where the entry from those players seemed to be a little misguided and very shaky. That's very rare for G2, given the fact that they tend to be really cool under pressure and never let anything get to them.
I think it was a bit of a hiccup. It was how people were treating that first half of the European Pro League, but it was a pretty large one. That they did not get a great record. However, that's not really what matters right now.
So G2's defending Church downstairs again. Last time that we saw Spacestation come here, what happened? A great degree of difficulty to be able to take control of Garage. Large part of that was both Pengu and Kanto's play. Kanto's aggressive on the main stairs, almost finds and nets a kill onto Chala, which would be extremely detrimental to SSG. They're not running a triple hard breach setup. So if you lose your Thermite or your Hibana, you essentially have to completely recalibrate your strategy because all of that hard destruction that you relied on is gone early before its utilization. It's one of the exothermic charges from Space Station, speaking of, will be used on the server wall, which allows clear passage, and the rest of Space Station can begin to enter. G2 got very aggressive on the main stairs, but there's a call to retreat with a minute off of the clock. They'll head for the hills and hunker down inside the site.
Time wasted, though, at the very least. It's one of the more passive roams we've seen from G2, especially on this site. We've often seen G2 and Kanto Ketty specifically attempting to hold the top floor for an extended period as defending the bottom floor. It's an interesting strategy, and it's actually worked out for G2 a lot, but they're not committing to it this time. Possible that they were afraid of SSG cutting off the rotation and managing to cinch around. And when the pressure's so high, I don't really blame G2 for playing it safe, especially considering Spacestation Gaming have not had a very quick attack here. I mean, we're down to the last minute. Drops are still being opened up.
I mean, you don't need to play aggressively on this site. You can make it work, but you don't really need to get
you don't
a full court press, essentially, when you're attacking on Church. Teams are able to perfectly defend it, having a body inside of blue, a body inside of dirt, and the other 3 inside of the various sites. So I would imagine that it's going to be pretty par for the course for G2 to just sit along for the ride here. Possibly lose some Xkaros, a perfect impact trick from Kanto. But Bosco goes for him. He gets Pengu instead. Kanto has been downed, and now Jonas under fire as well as Kanto, just trying to crawl away. If he can get revived by one of his teammates. Finished off by Bosco, a second kill for the Jackal, as SSG will begin their assault. It was only a couple minutes ago that not a single team had prevailed on attack. But this time it looks like we might go 2 for 2, especially if SSG continues on with where they're going. A third for Bosco as he takes out Jonas. Bosco silenced, Chala goes down, Goga gets traded off by Rampy, and Fabian inside of Dirt will have 3 bodies to find. Adding to his stats, he'll take out Rampy. Diffuser going down from Redeemer. Where are you, Fabian? Can you get the drone in place? It gets shot at the last second! An incredible opportunity from Thinking Nade, and Fabian is trapped in Dirt. Look left, look right, but you're not getting out of there alive. Thinking Nade propels us to the final round, 7-7.
Oh, hey, Young. That was an incredible clutch there from Thinking Nade specifically. Starting with the Yokai drone. He managed to lock out Dirt Tunnel rotation as well, but that Yokai drone was absolutely perfectly shot. And I honestly expected us to see us end the map right after the Yokai started coming out of Dirt Tunnel. It's unfortunate for G2, of course, that we didn't have a Yokai drone positioned inside of Arsenal from the get-go. But SSG, I mean, what a round. It all started with Bosco as well, just inside the kitchen, managing to get that early pick onto Pengu, who was just trying to protect his teammate of Cancer Raketti, who had been downed. Following that, there was not a whole lot of recovery from G2, and SSG saw their opportunity and picked up the pace. They did not relent for a second. Every single time someone from SSG was fouled, another player would take his place and refrag. They kept that manpower advantage throughout the round. We have a tactical timeout here from G2, and I think it's appropriate timing considering they have no other opportunities besides now.
I mean, you saved it up until this point, why not go for it, right? Now, G2 has gone through the group stages and up to this point have not dropped a single map. This is the very first time that they are in a position where they could find themselves being punished for that. And Space Station not having a lead at any point in this match so far, but they're gonna sit on match point for the very final round.
They just keep bringing it back.
And this is the inverse of Space Station Gaming. The team that ties every single time, the team that seems to fall apart in the matches where they have such a massive lead, they have been able to dig deep and find some kind of hidden land power to go from a 5-1 deficit to a 7-7. And we've seen 2 successful victories from the attackers on Church, and SSG is gonna roll the die and really hope that that number doesn't become 3, as they'll go back down to Church for our final defense before we head to Bank next.
So I realize that we've just seen 2 successful basement attacks, and that might blunt this a little bit, but SSG again gets to defend the bottom floor because they were unsuccessful. So now the advantage that G2 earned by successfully attacking the bottom floor works against G2 in this round. And that has just gotta hurt so much that, you know, because you were victorious, now it's gonna be even more difficult for you to win the map as a whole. Winning the battle and potentially losing the war could be the story here for G2.
So far during the Invitational, only 3 maps have gone the full 15 rounds. I feel like Flynn casted every single one of those.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Was it in the group stages?
Probably.
Day 1, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How do you want an exciting match that's back and forth? Give it to Flynn.
Day 2 on Stream B was as well, pretty long.
Yes. Long days, but exciting matchups so far.
And that's exactly, I mean, the correlation is pretty strong there.
And unless this is, now there's some ambiguity with that stat. Is this the 4th map or is this the 3rd map? We don't know.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's
absolutely.
a good question.
Yeah.
Is this the 3rd or the 4th? I expect it to pop up at some point.
I feel like Spec is accounting for both.
I feel like it.
Yeah.
Anywho, G2 has taken a minute so far, and the Blitz gets pulled out. Our first shield operator between these 2 teams. It takes 14 rounds to get there, and in the 15th round, well, Pengu, who jokingly called himself a shield main for this team, will go off of a hard breacher, foregoing the Hibana play.
I mean, he's the player who brings a shield when no one else wants to bring the shield, so he kind of is.
Oh, this Twitch drone from Fabian, it will be very effective at just sitting and waiting. Now keep in mind, Twitch drones make a lot less noise, and because of this, you can put it in positions where it might not be found. If you're not using it, for tasing, it can be a pretty potent tool for recon, but there goes one of the drones, as we see just for a second a glimpse of Pengu trying to push up through Dirt Tunnel, but he gets hit by a yokai drone in the process, and concussed for the time being. What a start! Rampy tosses up a C4 and it connects, and it just looks like another day in the office for him.
The Twitch drone's likely brought to eliminate the yokai drones. You can't really be doing anything with IQ when you're going into the site, so this is a good pick from Fabian, but oh no. Thinking Nate has somehow managed to make his way out of oil pit. What has happened? Why was the Claymore not on the ladder? Doesn't matter at this point, Fabian doesn't seem to be aware. And if Thinking Nate times his flank properly, he could win this round for his team.
He's giving his position away, and there comes Thinking Nate as Goga takes him out, but the refrag is a bit too late. 40 seconds to go. You've lost your buck and you've lost your Twitch. That drone might still persist, but here's the Bandit. As the shield will push up, Rampy's got his cover. And ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we've got liftoff with Kanto in a 4v1 with 30 seconds to go. Fighting from behind the entire map. Is there gonna be a miracle? There won't be. There's a shutdown and they're fired up. Space Station will take their map and we'll go on to bank.
What a win from Space Station Gaming, defying the odds and breaking the monotony of that map. Very impressive to take Clubhouse. Getting to defend first really helped them there on that OT, but they still had to double down on the advantage by losing it early. Their first defense